So thank you for letting us know kind of how it's different from Omicron, how it is a subvariant. Could you get into a little bit about like the science behind like
Yeah.
how how subvariants happen? I myself have no idea how that happens scientifically. So
So
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So great question. So subvariants happen because of infection. That's kind of like the bottom line. So when an infection happens, viruses obviously they replicate in your cells, and when viruses replicate, like COVID, which is an RNA virus, they're actually more likely to make mistakes. So if you think about it, if you, the people that are watching this, you write the same sentence 1,000 times, how many times might you write it the same, like the same exact way? Like very
Mhm.
little, right? So if you think about COVID viruses and RNA, it's the same way. They're writing the same sentence millions of times, but because it's an RNA virus, when RNA kind of replicates in the human body or even animal bodies, because COVID actually can go from animals to humans, humans to animals, there's so much more risk for COVID to make mistakes. And when you get so many mistakes in a row, you can actually create a subvariant, which is just a COVID virus that made so many mistakes it looks different. Does
Mm,
that kind of make sense? So
yeah.
basically, all these mistakes, sometimes with viruses, they can make so many mistakes that it decreases their ability to be fatal, which is what happened between like alpha, beta, gamma, delta until Omicron. So Omicron is less fatal, but it is more contagious. So there's kind of a trade-off there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Yeah, so that's really what happens. And with COVID, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, because it can go from animals to humans, it's really hard to stop COVID from infecting organisms and also replicating. So as long as it keeps replicating, it's going to keep making mistakes and keep making variants. So the bottom line here is when there's infections out there, when you try to decrease infection, you decrease the rate that a variant will kind of evolve out of something.
Yeah,
So
that makes
yeah.
a lot of sense. I think like from what I got is like RNA is more likely to make mistakes as it's replicated, and that's kind of how mutations happen. It's interesting to know that there was like a difference in, I think you said like trans like transmission between like the
Yeah.
alpha, beta, the delta.